Hey friends, welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just a lovely place to live. I'm your host, Colin Johnson, with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you're interested in buying or selling a home in the area, or if you're looking at investing in a rental property, give us a call at 423-930-8003, and we will look forward to helping you. Now, let's get to today's episode. It is a little chilly today, which is what it's supposed to be because Christmas is right around the corner, and I am excited for you guys to get to meet my new friend, Jesus Rodriguez with Coyote Tactical. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much.
I looked you up online, where I looked up your company, and I was like, this is cool.
I was about to say, if you look me up, you may find some.
I didn't go deep. Went very, very broad.
No background check.
Yeah, just know what is Coyote Tactical. Okay, so I'm excited to learn about it and share that with our listeners. But first things first, what do you love most about Johnson City?
So we come from my wife and my children. So we came from South Florida. So there's no seasons.
Yeah,
it's just summer and probably degrees of summer. Hotter summer.
Summer light.
yeah. More humid summer and maybe more dry summer. And then, so we were looking around just for a change of pace, try to get out to somewhere that our goals essentially were go somewhere where we have seasons for sure.
Okay.
Go somewhere where cost of living would be cheaper. We were just getting suffocated.
Where were you in Florida?
South Florida, like Miami area.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was just one of the areas that's getting suffocated out the most. I mean, when we started, it was, $2,000. Then it was $2,200. And this is all in the span of like 2 years. Then it became 24. Then it became 3,000. And it's just like, it becomes untenable to do rent or anything else.
Yeah.
So we said, nope. Once it started reaching 3,000, we said, we're out of here.
Yeah, especially if you're just renting something.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you can't buy anything. It's too astronomical down there. So I told my wife, nope. I was like, we're getting out of here. We're going to hit up somewhere that has a better cost of living. Your money goes a bit further. Wanted to take the kids out of just, the city life. I had family in Spain. I mean, I went a ton of times to the mountain. They had no power. So we had like a family out there that was very rural, as rural as it can get.
Mm-hmm.
No washing machines, no nothing. So, I mean, I would always enjoy my summers out there. We would spend 3-4 months at a time out there. And I just always had a blast. So I said, you know what? This is the perfect time to leave, find somewhere that we can go a little bit more rural, hopefully start the whole homesteading journey.
Yeah.
And just give children that experience that I had growing up, which was very formative for me, looking back, because it brought me into the whole hiking and all the exploring that I do, the traveling.
Same.
So I was really big into that. And then once we started looking around, we were like, okay, it also has to be a place like Florida that has no income tax. So again, money goes further. And then we just started looking around. We went to North Carolina. That's not a state that has no income tax, but we were just looking at it just for, beauty, hiking, whitewater rafting, et cetera. And, beautiful place, don't get me wrong, but the price of it was just more than we wanted to. And, hey, they say you're getting 40 acres, but out of the 40 acres, maybe only 3 of it are usable because the rest was vertical.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, that's not going to work out.
Over in Nashville area.
We went to Waynesville, Hendersonville, like that whole kind of area around there. Then we went through Kentucky. Kentucky is an interesting place because you can buy an astronomical amount of land for like nothing. There was 200 and 300 acres for, you're talking about maybe $250,000.
Oh, wow.
But there's just nobody out there. This is like, Irving, et cetera. So we said, okay, this is beautiful out here, but we can't. How am I going to grow a business in this area where there's nobody? And I think if I remember correctly, when I was looking, Kentucky has a net loss every year of population.
Oh, wow.
And not only that, but just it's a very low income. So we said, okay, this is not going to work out for us. Then we came through Tennessee and we just fell in love with the whole Tri-Cities area. It offered the community that we're looking for. My wife was like, look, I don't want to be too rural where I can't have a Walmart and Ashley Furniture. Things like
I need I need life things.
So I said, okay, when we came around through here, we said, you know what, this is perfect. We're in Johnson City. We also have a property, a farm that we bought in Jonesboro. So it just offered that perfect mix where you still have enough community, enough size of a city, but you're still able to be removed enough where you still feel that you're good. You're in the mountains, and within 45 minutes, you're in North Carolina to do whatever hiking, whitewater rafting you want to do. So,
and we've got all that on this side of the mountain too.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it was a very methodical
Yeah.
process? Did you have like a
Yeah.
spreadsheet going and like?
It's funny that you say a spreadsheet because I actually did have a file in Photoshop, and I had like multiple layers where I said, okay, where are flood zones, where are like hurricane zones, tornadoes, nuclear reactors. I had a nuclear reactor layer where I was like, okay, where is there a possible reactor that may kind of have saw some down whiff drain? This is overkill, but and then by the time that I overlaid everything, there was just some small pockets that I think we felt perfectly.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Well, and we have a big one down in Oak Ridge.
With a Y12 or I forget what it's called. I've driven past it one time and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. I was like, that's probably the one that I saw on my little radar map.
Yes. And it's west, so it would, I guess, blow this direction should something, God forbid, happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you're not alone. There are a lot of people running spreadsheets and doing matrices and going, okay, this has this, and this. All right, it meets 9 of our 10 criteria, and here we go.
Yeah. And it ended up just being, it ended up working so great because when we did buy our property, it ended up being that the shop that we found was only 3 minutes just down one road. So I mean, I've been able to walk from the shop, to the property. Sure, it's 45 minutes, but just to see, hey, how long will it take?
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, this could not have been more convenient to find 5,000 square feet so close to my property. And 5,000 square feet would have been untenable in South Florida. God knows what you would have paid for that.
Millions.
I was paying, I had 1,200 square feet. And I think 100 square feet was used up in a bathroom. Probably another 200 square feet was used up in a wannabe office. So realistically, you had nothing left to work.
700 feet. Yeah.
And that was already $2,000
a month for rent.
And I have 5,000 square feet now for almost the same price.
That's awesome.
So you can't go wrong.
That's great. How many kids do you guys have?
2.
Oh, okay. How old are they?
We got 5 and 1 that just turned 2.
Oh, that's fun ages. Yeah. You got your hands full.
At this age, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, talk to me about Coyote Tactical. Where did you come up with the name Coyote Tactical?
So I'm terrible at naming things.
I guess we need to throw solutions on it.
Yeah. Like, let's just make the name even longer. Yeah.
Incorporated.
We're having trouble not just with trademark and stuff. They're like, you got to shorten your name. But anyways, the name, I've always been terrible at naming things. So Coyote is just a color in one of the many colors of military colors. There's, coyote brown, etc. So I said, okay, coyote brown. I said, I like the animal because I've always just kind of been my own lone person.
Yeah.
They have the whole concept of lone wolf, etc.
Yeah.
But coyotes, for the most part, are alone. They do their own thing. But if they do decide that they want to tackle something bigger than themselves, they have no problem banding together to get the job done. And then they all go their separate ways again, which is pretty much how I've always been.
Okay.
I half jokingly tell people, I was like, look, I've never had a friend. I still to this day have no friends. It's just, but whenever we need to get something done, okay, I'll always find like-minded people. We'll just band together. We tackle the project, we get it done. And then everybody's just gone again. And that's, I don't know. It's worked for me. I've never had any problems. I don't do this guys night out. That's what my wife always says. She's like, you're the only person I've ever been with that doesn't have like I'm going to go out, whatever, 1 week in a month or whatever it is to have guys night out. She's like, at least I know where you are,
You're here all the time.
She's like,
she's hinting.
She's trying to
That's right.
She's actually trying to get rid of me. That's funny for her. Yeah.
Carly, I think she's glad I have some hobbies.
Yeah. She's actually set up like play dates for the kids and like set up like a date with me with like a husband, I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do this, but sure.
Yeah. Go play with this guy, Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't even know Colin. Why would I want to play with him?
Yeah, you guys like the same things. Go.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So tell me, Coyote Tactical Solutions, what do you guys do?
So we do manufacturing of essentially everything except clothes. So we do all the manufacturing for tactical gear, plate carriers, chest rigs, belts, medical pouches. That's how we got started, was the entry into the medical products. Because I'm also a nurse. So that's how the whole thing kind of just started off. I mean, I would go to training courses before I did any of this.
Do you have a military background?
No, I could not join the military because I have rheumatoid arthritis.
No.
And I have to take an injection every single month, just to pretty much function. And so I went to the recruiter and they, they ask you the basic questions, of your medical history, this, that, the other. I told them exactly what I have. And the moment I said that, they were like, no, you're like, it's an automatic disqualification. You can't serve because, we would have to get you the medication to an austere environment. And then they were like, your condition is also a condition that gets exacerbated with stress, which is true.
Right.
Whenever you do reach stress, I mean, there's been times where I literally can't walk, it
swell up.
It's the swelling, the pain, and just sometimes you literally just cannot move. It's not like, oh, it's painful. It's just, no, I can't open my mouth. I can't even, as a nurse, sometimes I couldn't even rip open the paper to give a patient the Tylenol.
Oh my gosh.
It was embarrassing, but I'd be like, look, I understand that at the time I was like 32. I was like, I understand I'm 32 and you're 60, but can you help me?
My fingers aren't working right now.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. So now, that was kind of a bummer because that happened, back, I don't even know how many years ago that was, but it was kind of a bummer. And I said, okay, you know what, I'll find some other way to, I guess, serve in some capacity.
Yeah.
So I went through a whole long circle or journey to get to where I am right now. It's not like, oh, I've always wanted to be tactical and this is how I ended up here. It's just a series of events that just led to that.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever a straight, like oh, I had that thought. Maybe some people can do that and go.
I've always loved design. It's in the realm of design, which is the aspect that I love the most. I never went into this. It's funny. Like I tell everybody, I never went into it being like, I want to be a businessman.
Right.
I always thought that, hey, I have great ideas. I'm going to somehow license this idea or patent it or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be able to do big things for other people and I'm going to make great money.
Right.
And that just didn't work out that way. And I said, okay, it seems like the only way that I can get my ideas out there is to just do it myself.
Yeah.
So when I first started off, I shopped around for, hey, people to make it for me. And then that just it was just too expensive for somebody to do. And I said, okay, after I've paid you, what would I have to now sell this for to make any money? And if there's a distributor involved, now they need a cut. So what do I make?
Right.
So I said, okay, I got to phase them out. So then I started shopping around for people in my area in South Florida, because South Florida back in the days used to be a massive textile hub. So there's a whole lot of talent out there that knows how to sew.
Yeah.
But they're already now in the aging population, 60s or so. So I shopped around. I found some old ladies that, we know how to sew. They would all do it from their house.
That's
so
awesome.
I would cut the stuff manually at my house. I would take them the prepared work. They'd sew it. And then, they'd let me know, hey, it's done, a week, 2 weeks later. So the production time is very slow as well. So I'd pick it up. Okay, hey, I pay them. And then, hey, I sell it and we kind of go from there. And then eventually it came to a point that it was like, okay, this is just way too slow. And I'm relying on other people to manufacture it for me, tell me what can or can't be done. So while I was working as a nurse, I said, you know what? I was like, I feel like if I've done nursing, I've done architecture before that. I also worked in the film and video game industry as a 3D artist. I was like, I know that I can figure this out. So I bought 3 machines. I sold my couch. I sold my kitchen table. I was living by myself at the time.
I was going to say.
Yeah. No, this is free. A wife would have never told me.
Yeah, she'd be like, what are we sitting on the floor?
Yeah. It's like, no, we get a little folding tables. So yeah, we'll be fine. Sitting on the floor probably would have been okay because my wife's Asian. So so it probably would have been normal.
There you go.
But yeah, so we sold everything. I got 3 machines and then I started working on it. It took me about 6 months to even teach myself how to sew because I didn't have, videos or I didn't have anything teaching me. So it took me about 6 months and I was like, okay, I now understand it. And then once you understand that, you now do understand what can or can't be done because a lot of ideas cannot physically be sewn or made just because of how they have to be turned or manipulated.
Yeah, it's hard to
So that gives you so learning that, if I didn't learn that, I don't think there's any way I can be where I am now.
Gotcha.
You have to learn that beginning part to know what's even feasible.
Right.
And then it's interesting because those things that are unfeasible before, as technology advances, and now we have different laminate fabrics, laser cutting, 3D printing, then you start realizing, whoa, the things that were impossible back then now suddenly became possible. And it became way cheaper to do. So it's a whole long evolution. And then once the business got to a certain point, I just kind of walked away from nursing. I got into nursing because my father's an ER physician. He's a director of an ER. And he always told me throughout my entire life, he says, go into healthcare. He's like, there's always going to be sick people,
Sure.
He's like, that's just the reality of the world. Yeah. Okay. And I didn't listen, so like I said, I went through the architecture thing, the design and film and video game and everything else. And that was 2008 when I was graduating the whole film and game industry. And I had so many offers back then. I had Pixar, I had all this bunch of people giving me job offers. But then once 2008 came, there was a massive crash in the market. If we all remember, you work in real estate, so how things went.
It was tough.
So a bunch of studios shut down, and then they realized, okay, not only are we going to shut down, save some money, but we're also going to send a lot of the work to India. India and China like ate up tons of the work back then. So the competition was so fierce. It's like to work in any game studio, it's like, okay, you had to have, I think it was like 4 AAA titles under your belt, 12 years of experience. They raised the bar so high that
hardly anybody could make
that
it.
you just couldn't do it. My dad said, now's the time to do what I've been telling you to do forever. So I did it. Yeah, I did the whole accelerated nursing program, graduated top of the class, finished the test as best as you can possibly finish it because it's an adaptive test. And did that for 7 years. And then that's when I just transitioned eventually to Coyote Tactical. And that's how I started the company making medical pouches.
Did you see like an issue at the hospital? You're like,
it's not about that I saw an issue in the hospital. Whenever I would go, I slowly got started into, going to training courses, this, that, the other, just kind of feel it out, see what's going on. And I would notice that everybody was without a medical kit. And I said, you would figure that if we're dealing with weapons, something dangerous, I've seen people negligently discharge, things can happen. And I go, if we have the capacity to hurt or be hurt, at least we should have some level of training of medical. And then that industry really started to take off medical. You started seeing a lot of instructors coming out with their training videos, with classes for medical, TCCC, which is the Tactical Combat Casualty Care, et cetera, which is kind of the gold standard for treating people with life-saving or life-threatening injuries.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I was like, I'm a nurse. I can do this. And then what I did see, everybody was wearing China stuff. So I said, no, I can do it better. And I can make something that looks better aesthetically. I have a design background.
Right.
And then that's how I got started. And then the medical stuff just kind of just organically caught on. Back then, social media, you were actually allowed to grow and exist and organically grow. Now it's impossible. But yeah, so it just organically grew. And I said, oh, okay. So I was able to just walk away entirely from nursing, focus on the business. And then I started adding my brother, to help out and some other people. And we just kind of grew from there.
Going for there.
Yeah.
What do sales look like for 2024 for you?
So let me tell you, and these are conversations that I've had with other people in the industry. The last 4 years have been arguably the worst 4 years that's probably ever been experienced. People thought, okay, this is not a political thing. Because people are going to say, oh, it's politics. No, this is
it's just reality.
Yeah, it's not a political thing. When Obama was in, it was great because, and he was actually the number one gun salesman. The more guns were sold under that administration than any other time in history. People would think, oh, it's under Trump because everybody is comfortable. When people are comfortable, they don't buy. When people are scared is when they buy. But did anything happen under Obama? Nothing happened gun-wise under Obama.
Well, and the Democrats wouldn't want you to know that. They sold more guns during his presidency.
Yeah, everybody knows that, And then it's like, okay, so there was actually more threats under, the next administration, but that's just a whole other thing. So things were great back then. Things were great then under the 4 years of Trump. And then these last 4 years, what really happened, there was a combination of things. You're exiting kind of that COVID period, where supply chains are still to this day messed up. Before COVID, you can order something, you can order rolls of fabric, and you can get it delivered that same week. Now, even now today, we're at the end. We're in December now. We're about to enter 2025, and you still are backlogs of 3 to 5 months sometimes for fabric. So when you're in an industry like ours, where you're constantly producing, how do you exist when you have to sometimes hit these snags of 3 to 5 months for stuff? You're talking about YKK. Everybody knows YKK. It's the zipper on everything. YKK during COVID and even exiting COVID was 9 months back order for zipper.
That's just because of the production stopped. Because
production essentially stopped. I called the YKK plant. You know what they told me? Our machines are so big that we need, I forget how many employees they said,
per 30
per the machine.
Yeah, right.
But it's this 6-foot distancing guideline that is preventing us from running this loom and this mill because we can't have the people. And I go, you're a multi-billion-dollar company. You're telling me that you can't call your local politician and say, you know how much taxes are generating just from YKK and wherever they are. You can't tell these people, hey, you got to create an exemption.
They're so afraid of being close to each other.
So it was just insane. So yeah, we're still kind of in that flux period where the lead times are coming down. So that impacted production. That definitely changed a lot of people of how they design things.
Yeah.
Because if zipper was X amount of months, we have 5 colors. That's 5 color zippers. So you're talking about each one now is 5 to 9 months. So we said, nope, we streamlined everything down to one color, which is black zipper.
Yeah.
And now everything is kind of just running off of black zipper. So you have to adjust to just survive.
Yeah.
Then you had the 1-2 punch of inflation started really taking off. That took away people's purchasing power. So, I mean, this was not a good 4 years for anybody in our industry. Everybody that I've spoken to, from the data that they've analyzed, they're seeing anywhere from about 47 to 60% reduction in sales.
Isn't that crazy?
And it's massive.
But everything else is, but the things you have to buy are going up. So you're like, well, I'm making less money and I have to pay more for just regular stuff.
Yeah.
It's a double whammy.
It's a terrible thing because everything is just it's like a race to the top because like you said, everything is going up. Material has gone up, I want to say maybe 5 times this year. I just got I think on Friday, another price increase.
And you're like, what's the problem? They're like, why? It doesn't make sense in my mind.
Oh, and then when you then start, if you really want to get into interesting stuff, so now fabrics entering 2025, they cannot be using, if I remember, it's called C7. It's like a chemical that it has like that PFAS. So now apparently the government and the EPA is trying to make everything PFAS free. So the thing is that the chemicals were being used on the fabric as a what they call DWR, the durable water coating. But now they have to switch away from PFAS free. So now the quality of the materials is so poor where you just scratch it and it leaves just a terrible white mark across it. Even if you fold it, it has a terrible white mark across it. So I've spoken to all the mills and I go, I'm sorry, how can we sell a product like this that mars the moment you move it, bend it, or anything else? They said, look, we can't do anything about it. We have to switch to this new C, whatever it is, this new chemical that's PFAS free, and it's causing this problem. So they said, well, the only thing we can do or you can do is you have to educate your customers that this is the way it is moving forward. I go, how do you educate a customer the way moving forward is that your product looks worn in before you even get it? It's crazy. So now there's other mills now they have like 70 engineers, this other company I spoke to, and they're like, no, we're working it out. We've got a solution. I mean, I tested their fabric. I can do whatever I want with it. It doesn't have that issue. So let's hope for the best because it's just a compounding issue where, okay, if I can't do this anymore, now you're starting to like go back to older technology. Okay, I can't use laminate fabrics anymore for the laser. Maybe go back to cord. It's wild. It's a battle. Everything is a battle.
Well, talk to me about the products you're making. So medical kit, like for our listeners, why would we want to have a medical kit from Coyote Tactical on hand at home?
Yeah, so it's not about Coyote Tactical or anybody else. You want to have at the bare minimum, and it's not about having bandages or I'm going to have, people buy these little generic ones that they see at Academy. And
oh yeah, the little red box with those.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh wow, cool. I have my bandages, I have my anti-diarrheal, and I have like an aspirin or something.
And some Neosporins in there.
Yeah, talk to the Neosporin. I go, that is not a medical kit.
Right.
That is like, hey, a boo-boo thing, store that somewhere else in a bathroom. Like that's fine. But at the bare minimum in your car or anywhere else, you should have a kit that has at least, a combat gauze or something similar, which has an anti-clotting agent, tourniquet for sure, because bleeding is the number one cause of death.
Bleeding out.
Yeah. And if you have an arterial compromise of any form, you're probably looking at maybe 2 minutes or less of time that you'll survive. And you're going to go unconscious most likely before that 2 minutes even happens.
Sure.
So at the bare minimum, I mean, we sell medical contents that are all, made in the US from North American Rescue. We then manufacture the pouches that hold it all in a, concise form that people can just readily access and not have any problem.
Stick it under your seat.
Yeah. So I usually just have it in the glove box or anywhere else. The great thing is that it doesn't just serve as, I just put it in my glove box and forget about it. It's great that you can grab it. If you're into the space that we are of training and going to the range, you don't have to be wearing it. You don't have to be, because some people have that fear of like, I'm going to go to the range and I'm going to look I'm going to look tactical wearing all this stuff and people are going to look at me weird. It's like, you don't have to wear this stuff.
Right.
Just put it in your bag, have it somewhere nearby. So if something does happen to you or anybody else, because in most cases it's not to you, it's to somebody else.
Yeah.
And, there is smaller compact kits that we do sell, to carry on you, what they call the EDC, everyday carry, carry something on you every day, especially if you carry, like most of us do, concealed carry or anything else. If you are a responsible citizen that is carrying and you're trying to protect not only your loved ones, but you have the duty. This is in my opinion. This is not like a written rule that says if you conceal carry, you have to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I've always understood that concealed carry is not just about you and your family. That if you have the ability to protect other people from harm, it is just your moral obligation,
100%,
to go ahead and protect life, even at the risk of your own life. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
So if you have the ability to create a hole, you should have the ability to plug said hole. So, and this is even to,
I like it.
Yeah. And this is even to the person that you probably just put down, cause again, this all comes down to moral and ethics. Yes, I stopped the threat. Do I now have a moral and ethical obligation to now treat this person and prevent them from dying? There's people that out there that'll say no,
Right.
like that person.
The reason I was shooting them was
that person forfeit his life
Yeah.
the moment that he attacked other life.
right.
You then have the other people that say, we neutralize the threat.
Right.
We now have a moral and ethical obligation
care of
to
this
still
Yeah.
save and protect life.
I think that's, do you love people or do you look at them like as creations that the Lord made, that are equal to you, right? And some people are just, they're making bad decisions coming after you, and you made a different decision.
And you don't know.
Stop them.
You don't know what the decision
they're
was.
thinking, right?
Yeah. You don't know if it's
You don't know what their motivation is, or
you don't even know if it's medication induced. You
It
don't
could
know what
be,
it is.
right. That
I
could
mean,
be out
I've
of
worked
their
in the
mind.
industry
Yeah.
in medical for a long time, and I've seen people do things you would not believe solely because of medical side effects or especially when you get into antipsychotics, antidepressants, things like that. They all have side effects of delusions, hallucinate. You have no idea.
Yeah. You're like, I'm taking this for delusions and hallucinations.
Yeah,
And it's
and-
making it worse,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. So people battle with that. I'm pretty much cut and dry. Yes. If I stopped it, I know that I'm not going to get further hurt or potentially put myself at risk.
Right.
Like if the person has a gun, hey, you put him down, make sure he can't access it. If you have the chance to get closer to maybe kick it away or something, do it. Everybody has their own line of, I'm not willing to risk getting any closer.
Sure.
It's just, where do you draw your own line?
Right.
That's really all it is.
And
It's
I'm sure if you were in that situation, the shock and stress of it all is going to be highly intense. And then, to have the wherewithal to say, oh, and I need to go help this person, that's going to be it'll be another step, which is pretty amazing.
And that falls into, there's just legality too. I mean, a lot of the stuff, especially, it could change from just jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
Sure.
Of whether it was justified, whether it wasn't. We see it all the time.
Different
where it's
states
just,
are totally different. Yeah.
I mean,
But the interesting thing is, I have a friend who has he's a big YouTube channel guy and doing well, but there are hundreds of cases, a year where people are stopping a threat and saving lives, and they are never publicized. It's just,
oh yeah, of course. The publicized number is over 2 million cases a year of, carrying or a self-defense situation, preventing a crime or somebody preventing a crime on someone else.
right.
That's 2 million is kind of like the agreed upon number, but it's probably north
Isn't that
of that.
amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 million.
And people talk about, okay, hey, gun violence, this, that, the other, and you look at it and you say, okay, so tell me the number. The number comes out to something like 36,000, according to FBI stats of, gun shootings, gun violence, yada, yada. Okay. But then you look at the numbers, 20,000 of that is suicide. So I don't consider that a person who is gun violent.
Right.
It's tragic. It's unfortunate. And most of those are suicides by veterans. Cause you have 22 a day, that commit suicide. So 20,000 out of 36 off the bat are taken away. That's a person that did not hurt somebody else. So you're left with 16,000. Then you further break down the number, and almost all of it is gang on gang or some other sort of violence. So this is not like
going wrong.
it's not an everyday thing. And then you have the minuscule portion, which is justified, shooting by cop, this, that, the other. Now they don't really break it down to you how many of those cases were person that had a weapon versus not had a weapon, etc. And people don't understand that just because you don't have a weapon doesn't mean you're not dangerous. You have a car, that's a weapon. You can drive into the officer. You are, you're in your house and you have a knife, that's a weapon. You have a boiling pot of hot water, that's considered a weapon.
Or you're a big guy and you've got a female, agent down, and
disparity of force, that's what they call it. So it's like, I can totally justify that if this guy is a massive monster of a bodybuilding guy, I can totally justify there was a disparity of force there.
Sure.
So I had to, because if I don't, he's clearly 4 times my size.
Right.
So it only gets worse and exacerbated when you're a female.
Yeah.
Which is why every female at the very minimum should be, trained in at least, hey, how to handle a gun, how to shoot a gun. Mm-hmm. And then, just start understanding that it's not just a dude's thing. There's so many compact carry options for women. Mm-hmm. There's comfortable carry options for women in the yoga pants and this, that, the other. There's ways that you can carry comfortably.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And in Tennessee, you don't need a permit anymore, right?
Anymore, yeah. But you still need permits to go, I guess, do certain things. There's they give you privileges if you get the permit. So that to me is still like, okay, is there a constitution or is there not? Because I could have sworn that it's very cut and dry.
Very clear. Yeah. You have the right to bear arms.
Yeah. It never says where you can and cannot. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say what kind of arm. And all of this goes back to, people think that this is an American thing. The right to bear arms did not start here. Mm-mm. This, if you go back to what they call the assize of arms, this is back in Europe. It was mandated by the king and everything else that you had to have. I forget what all the items were, but you had to have your own sword, your own shield, your own armor, this, that, the other. So if you are essentially the militia.
That's right.
If you were called by the king to action,
if we're getting attacked by another country,
you can grab your stuff and go. So it's like, it's interesting how the roles kind of like flipped, where it's like, you can't have anything over there anymore. And then here we built upon that foundation where, yes, the citizens have the right to not only defend themselves, but be called to arms by the nation state if they ever needed it.
Or band together and overthrow the tyranny of evil if the government goes really bad,
Yeah, which you're seeing now, which is funny. You look at places like Canada, they just had the press conference saying, okay, all of these guns are now banned. We're confiscating them. And then what are they doing with them? They openly said on the news, these confiscated guns, we are then sending to Ukraine for their citizens to fight. So it's like, okay, so you strip your citizens to then arm other citizens in another country to fight against, like you said, tyranny. But is that not tyranny? And
it sounds like.
So then does Ukraine, when they're done, send it back to the Canadians to fight the tyranny that they're experiencing?
It sounds like a good time for take over Canada if I'm American.
Well, that's why Trump
doesn't have any guns. We just walk up there and take over.
That's why Trump had jokingly hinted, you guys can be the 51st state and you can be the governor, Trudeau.
Well, and I think if you're not protecting the border, I mean, if you're allowing a lot of illegal aliens through the Canadian border, then it makes sense to maybe take it over.
I'm not really so worried about all the illegal aliens across the Canadian border. People don't realize, again, because I'm in this space of military, people do not realize how many Chinese soldiers there are in Canada being trained in winter warfare. Why are we allowing our northern neighbor, our ally supposedly, to train Chinese soldiers in winter warfare literally right on the border?
It doesn't make sense.
It's crazy. And that was hidden for a long time.
There's a lot of
eventually they had to admit that, okay, fine, yes, it is true. Like the government had to finally, okay, yes, it is true. That's wild to me.
Yeah, I don't look favorably upon that.
I don't know how to answer it.
I don't know. It's just crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And you're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Canada for a while. I lived in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And this was kind of in that flux period where there was, since you say you don't understand a lot of things, this is just like icing on the cake. There was an ISIS soldier. He was a Canadian. I guess he was a Canadian citizen at the time. He left Canada to go fight for ISIS. He ended up killing a Canadian soldier. Okay. He ended up getting captured, getting sent to Guantanamo Bay. He did X amount of years there, yada, yada. And if eventually he was being, let go back to Canada. Okay, what did the government of Canada do? He filed a lawsuit against the government of Canada because of the mental suffering that he suffered in Guantanamo Bay. He won said lawsuit. If I remember correctly, it was something like $13 or $15 million that this guy was awarded for killing a Canadian citizen, a Canadian soldier. And the guy was let go and paraded around all the news stations in Canada to tell his story of trauma. How is this not I mean, I was watching this while living there and going, "This is insane.
This is insane."
I mean,
like,
this
we're
guy
in
just
some
this
crazy
guy
times.
killed a soldier and walked out with $15 or $13 million. Like,
I mean, what does that say to all the kids in Canada? Like, I don't want to grow up to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
and there was a whole lot of people that left from Canada and everywhere else to go fight for ISIS. So it's wild, man. The whole there's a lot of inverted reality, a lot of inverted things that are going on.
It is the global landscape of just countries and war, and I mean, it's getting a little crazy. So, but anyway, we're not talking about that. So, at a bare minimum, you're saying a medical kit in your car.
Yeah.
What do you guys sell for like a household kind of thing? What would you want to have at home? Same kind of deal or something a little bigger? I mean, do you have with suture kits and that kind of thing you can buy? And that, I mean,
everything goes into your level of expertise, your level of knowledge. There's no point in having the tracheostomy kits and suture if you have no idea how to use it.
Right.
There's people that do that they have, I have my decompression needle for a tension pneumothorax. Did you even know where to put that needle into somebody's chest?
I know.
No. Cool. You watched a YouTube video. That is not the same.
Right.
You have to understand, physiology of people of where to actually do this, or you could actually create much more harm.
100%.
So there's things that you don't even want to get into, but at the bare minimum still, because, and this probably happens to more people than not. I mean, people get themselves cut at home all the time, washing dishes. That I used to see that accident all the time when I would work with my dad in the ER. You're washing a fragile cup, or maybe it's a wine glass. It shatters. People get cut in their hand all the time. Yeah, you got a big old bleed. Okay, at least now you have gauze, a combat gauze, something with a clotting agent in it. Then now you stop the bleed. Now, yes, you can go ahead to the hospital, and now you get sutured. Yeah. At the minimum, you have to have those things. When it comes to tourniquets, it's nice to have tourniquets, but tourniquets are also now size dependent. So they're not exactly perfect for working on children.
Right.
So because just the size of their bodies is not going to compress well enough. So if you have children, now at least, find a viable option where you can have something, for children.
Yeah.
I've taught my son, my 5-year-old, how to use the tourniquet, how to put it on himself or other people, if there ever was a need for it. I'm trying to talk to the school, to get things like that in there. There's not a single thing in the school, anything at all. I don't even know there's a defibrillator in that school. So it's like at the bare minimum, especially with everything that's going on in the world, there's just, schools are a soft target and they're made that way on purpose. Yeah. At the bare minimum, it's like we should have some sort of kits, and at least have the staff trained at the bare minimum. And if anything, have, a moment, you do fire drills. Why not have like, hey, an hour or so where we can just apply a tourniquet at the bare minimum.
CPR, that kind
at the bare minimum. A tourniquet is so easy. You slide it on, you tighten it, you turn the windlass, and you're good to go. It doesn't get much easier than that. A kid couldn't understand.
I've heard it's not any fun to have it on.
It's very painful, but it's more painful to die, or to
maybe,
like, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they pass out and do the pain. And,
so I mean,
but they're still not bleeding out.
Yeah, you're not bleeding out. Yeah, you're going to survive, and the pain is only going to be until you get to the hospital.
Right.
So it's not like in war somewhere that I got to wait for a helicopter, then the whole ride. So it's like here, your level of treatment is so much faster.
Quick. Yeah.
You're not spending hours. And people always had the fear, especially when it came to tourniquets, because there was just the myth going around, years ago, where if you left the tourniquet on for, I forget, it was like no time. It was like an hour. That's it. You have a loss of a limb,
right?
Because of the circulation.
Yeah,
that's just not true. It's not going to happen. And again, you're in America. You're going to get treated very fast.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to get to that point.
You show up at the hospital with a tourniquet on, because they're going to get you right back.
You're not going to be waiting.
Sorry, sir, you've got sniffles. We're going to set you aside.
Sorry, somebody has diarrhea. They go ahead of you. No, you're going to be treated first. So it's just things like that. Definitely tourniquets, definitely combat gauze. When then you start getting into more specialized things, okay, burn dressing, people get burned, at home all the time. They spill some water or oil spills on them. This is not going to treat you or cure you. It's just literally going to help the pain. It's going to alleviate a lot of that. And again, you still have to go to a point of care. But like I said, at the bare minimum, tourniquets, gauzes for sure. And then if you start now getting into gear, okay, yes, have your pistol. Everybody has their own kind of thing that they prefer. Some people like a pistol, some people like a shotgun. Some people prefer a rifle. I don't prefer a rifle for home defense. American walls are all drywall. It doesn't matter what bullet you're using, you're going to have over penetration. So now you have a whole lot of not only legal, but you have a whole lot of other issues, especially if you have children. Okay, where am I in the house? Where are the kids in the house? Where am I shooting the perpetrator? there's too many things to think about in that moment, and you don't want to risk, okay, yeah, I maybe scared the guy away or I shot him, but I also, hurt my child in the process.
Right.
That's probably why I wouldn't go for shotguns either, unless you go for maybe a very light, bird shot or something. But
or those, they have those stun pellet, like it's a sandbag almost.
They I don't even know if I've never looked into to see if they sell them, but yeah, it's like the less than lethal. That's more like law enforcement where they have those, and they have plastic pellets and stuff. But yeah, definitely a weapon. And then if you ever wanted to go further than that, where it's like, oh, hey, I'm now getting into now you're entering a realm of preparedness.
Right.
Okay, then you start now thinking into, okay, at the bare minimum, a chest rig. Now I have a fighting load. I have my rifles. I have my medical kit. I have this, that, the other, maybe hydration. And now, again, it's just everything is, how far do you really want to take it? Some people never see that ever happening. They never see that I ever need this. And these are the same people that rush out and they buy, they're all fighting for water because they never even store water.
Right. Yeah.
So it's all about, where do you draw your line? Where do you think things are going to happen? How far do you think things will go? And I always like to just have and not need. Somebody told me a long time ago, they were like, I rather have a condom than not have one. So I was like, why do you carry this with you? It's like, well, I'd rather have it not, and
never need it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just, there's just certain things that are just peace of mind.
Yeah. And you got to sell all the gear, right?
Yeah, we sell everything.
That's cool.
Yeah. No clothes, like I said, because we get calls all the time. Oh, for uniform, pants, this, that, the other. I go, we don't do anything with clothes. Clothes is just another can of worm. Could we do it eventually? Yeah, we can do it. But there's just too many waist sizes, length sizes. I like that I make one pouch. It fits anybody. Yeah. Like, we're good to go. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Who are some of the people who've influenced you? I know you said your dad early on told you to get into the medical, but some of the other people that have gotten you where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, my dad definitely started me on the medical aspect of it, and I would have become, a doctor. I never wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to probably be more surgeon, and I was actually looking to plastic surgery just because I love creating.
Yeah.
So I thought, hey, there's no more perfect and beautiful thing than creating, either fixing somebody's face who got in an accident or something to just recreate.
Yeah.
What was already perfect.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah.
So that was a cool thing. And then, again, not to delve too deep or anything in psychology of everything, but, I saw how often my dad was just so many hours working that, causing the family friction of the dad not being around so often. We would go on vacations without that. So I was like, what, medical at that level is probably not for me
something
then.
You want,
because
family's more important.
Yeah. It's funny because I never thought about family until only a couple of years ago where I met my wife and then we had the children, because I always thought, again, like we talked about earlier, I'm the lone guy.
The lone coyote.
And when we would go to Spain, we would see there's a beautiful valley, and across on the other peak, there was just one house there. And I'd always look and I remember asking one time, like, oh, wow, like what a cool house, like beautiful. It's just all by himself. And they're like, that is like a second cousin of ours. So it was a relative.
Oh, that's cool.
And I never got to meet him, but apparently he was a hermit. He's never been married, has no kids, no nothing. He just lives by himself out there. Who knows if he's even alive? He may have died 10 years ago. Nobody knows.
You don't even go there.
Nobody goes there.
You could have that house, maybe. I claim it as a family member. I'm the only one brave enough to go.
So yeah, so I never thought about that whole family thing, but I saw how that field was just so overwhelming, and it just took too much time. So then that's why I just gravitated to other things. But yeah, he's definitely a big inspiration, just because he's just so darn smart. Mm-hmm. Like he knows everything about everything. There's not a single thing except for computers. Somehow older people, they don't do well with computers, but anything else, fixing a car, he can fix any car.
Yeah.
Anything with guns, we build guns from scratch. Reloading, he can reload any round from scratch, precision rounds.
Isn't that amazing?
He knows everything, electricity, plumbing, there's just a lot of things that are lost skills.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, then there's skills to us that are just, okay, I knew this since I was a baby,
right?
And you don't know how to do this. Like there's an interesting inversion there when it comes to technology. But yeah, he's definitely a massive influence. For sure. My mother family, if you're going to talk about one, you have to talk about the other. She works for me as well. So I have my brother and my mother who work for me. And so my mother is just kind of like the cheerleader, I guess you would say. Like,
rallying the
it
whole
doesn't matter what it is. She's like, yeah, you got it. Like, and you're going to do great. And we're, I'm going to help you, whatever. And if it's just there, she just mostly comes. I don't even think she needs the money or she needs anything. Like she says, she's like, I just come just to hang out with you guys.
I just miss my boys.
It's like, I just want to hang out. I mean, she moved from Florida, with us just to to be with us.
That's cool.
And to continue working.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
dad's still in Florida?
as far,
Dad's still in Florida?
yeah, he stayed in Florida. His wife didn't want to come up here. She's like a big thing down there, one of the nursing schools and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Like she's like the whole director, so she can't leave, not yet. So, and because I was telling him, I was like, this is the place to come. I mean, he had to retire recently because, I mean, we're not going to get into COVID shots or anything else, but he had a bad side effect to the COVID shot, had a stroke. But he made a perfect recovery.
That's good.
And yeah, this is a complete sidetrack from what we were just talking about. But the guy who did brain surgery on him was his first ever case alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, this doesn't bode well, but he made it out perfectly fine. And, which we didn't think was going to happen because the doctors were like, look, he's messed up. Like it's not going to happen. And then he ended up actually having a stroke a couple months later on because I guess when the guy did the surgery and put the shunt in, didn't do it correctly. So he was having a very slight bleed that just built up over time and then caused another stroke.
Oh my God.
And then he was even worse that time. But then he's perfect. You can never tell that anything happened to him. His medical knowledge is there. Everything is there.
That's fantastic.
Only thing he can't do is that his computer stuff that suffered. Like he doesn't understand if I'm clicking on this or ordering this, like where does this page go?
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
I guess it's weird. It's really odd.
Cognitive.
But everything else is perfectly fine with.
Disconnect.
And everybody's like, yeah, your dad is supposed to be here, for some reason.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that these two massive strokes that he had,
Yeah.
and to have no gait impairment, no facial stuff, remembers all of his medical knowledge, everything else. I go, nah, there's something else going on there. But anyways,
The Lord's got a plan. Yeah.
like I said, complete sidetrack. But yeah, my mom, my dad. And then I really only got started in this because I started seeing just like, I guess what we call now influencers. They started popping up on the scene where there was this one guy, I can't even remember his name right now, but everybody calls him Doc. And he's like a Navy corpsman, if I remember correctly. And he was the one that would travel around. And he was the one I think he was really the only one at that time. And I mean, he may still be that, was really teaching people the medical side of it. More of that triple C, getting it out into the civilians market, because that was only really a military or law enforcement thing. So I saw him and he's what inspired me to then, okay, like I see what this guy's doing. He's got a bag that I don't know if they designed or anything, but I see what he was working with. And I said, I can do this and I can be that guy, but once I started manufacturing, I go, yeah, I can't be that guy that travels around and teaches.
And manufacture and run.
I go, not only that, but I don't have that military experience that he has. So I would just be, I would be posing. And
have you linked up and partnered with guys like that?
Yeah, I've partnered with a lot of people, but it's hard to partner with people in this industry because let me tell you, there's a lot of untrustworthy people that they seem fine, but they'll use you, or they'll take your designs and your ideas, or they'll claim that something that you did is theirs, and then they start creating conflict and friction in the industry. So then it's funny. So since they have their own clique, their own team, people that follow them, okay, these people have never done a single ounce of research. Then those people hate you and don't want to follow you or support you. Then they unfollow it. So it's like it's such a clique.
There's a lot of drama.
It's just drama galore, So, but you can't escape that. That happens in literally every industry.
Yeah. Very political, it sounds like.
Yeah, everybody's trying to do their own thing. People don't realize that the pie is so massive that there is more than enough here. All right, the government is pissing away money by the trillions. Paying $400 for a toilet seat, paying $9,000 for a bag of washers. There's more than enough government money that they're pissing away for you to eat, for everybody else to eat.
Yeah.
But people, when they see others entering into the same space, they will find whatever reason to like trash talk you, to bring you down, to prevent you from growing, because they see it as like, hey, this is going to take this is market share that I could possibly lose. And so yeah, it's very hard to find those people that you work with. There's a couple people that I work with now where, we've created like a symbiotic relationship where, you allow me to do my thing, grow, design, and build your product. And then it's like, and you grow, you sell a great product. You then order from me because I make it, I produce it, I designed it. And I'm just able to kind of like flex my brain juices.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like a good partnership.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
I'm working on this product now, which is, everybody talks about it, especially in this industry. Oh, especially now leading into SHOT Show, which is January, I want to say 19th. Every January, there's like the biggest military trade industry in the world. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Las Vegas. Yes.
Yeah, Las Vegas. There's probably over 70,000 people that go to SHOT Show. And it's just, you've got missile systems, everything you could possibly think of. Like, yeah, it's wild. Yeah. So but it's not open to the public. It's open to our industry and then industry kind of affiliates like retailers, distributors.
I got a buddy who goes every year. And
it's a great time. And so, everybody always says, especially leading to this time, we have a product coming out that's game changing. It's revolutionary. Look, it's very hard to game change or do anything else. Like, a lot has already been done, but what we're doing right now and I created, I think is something that is so unique and so interesting that the guy that I'm making it for, I mean, this is what I love. I love designing. I wish I could just design and not have to do business.
Yeah.
Cause that's just my passion. He came up to me with just a design with an idea and he's just like, yeah, it's got to do this. That's it. That's the only point I had. It has to do this. And I go, I already know by looking at this exactly how I'm going to accomplish this.
That's cool.
I could just see it in my head. And I already know, and sometimes when I sleep, and this is probably just OCD or something, when I sleep, my brain is constantly designing it.
Oh yeah.
I'm stitching it or I'm creating it in 3D. I'm disassembling it. And I already know, I've already made it probably 20, 30 times before I ever make it in person.
100%.
So I've already skipped all the other process where I know it's going to fail. And I just go straight to it. And I'm so close to the finish. Like I'm probably saying I'm like 98% there with this product, but I already said it and I was like, look, man, this is a revolutionary product. Nothing is out there. I go, you have to patent this like right now, at least get it into the pending status. So you have to go to SHOT Show and you have to use this product there. And you're going to get so much media attention. It's going to like blow your mind. It's going to blow your company up.
Oh, that's cool.
You have to do this.
Wow.
So
we may have to have you on next year again to talk about it.
So at least I can show it off.
That's right.
Yeah. When it's actually like people, it's out there in the market because it's so cool. Like, so that's what I enjoy.
That's super cool. How do our listeners connect with you online? How do they find you?
So website, coyotetacticalsolutions.com. I would love to recommend people to follow me on Facebook or Instagram, but that it's something that is probably just dead nowadays, especially for people in our industry.
Okay.
We were allowed to just organically grow when the whole kind of social media started. And now they have this very strict, and it's odd because it's like in 1984, there's double think and double speak.
Mm-hmm.
Their terms of service specifically says, I have it screenshotted and I've shared it with their team when I try to talk to a support person. It is very specific. It says firearms, ammunition, whatever, it goes into other things in the industry, are allowed to be posted on our platform, but not for sale on our platform.
Right.
It says you can sell it off-site on your platform and you can use us as a vector to sell.
Sure.
I said, that's great. However, anytime I post something, immediately it gets flagged for content violation or community guideline violation. I go, how is this a community guideline violation when your terms of service, which just came out like a week ago that I just agreed to and I took the picture of, says that my business is okay. And again, I don't sell firearms. I don't sell ammunition.
Yeah.
It just so happens
sell tactical gear that contains.
It's just in my pictures. It just so happens that people have their sidearm, their rifle, whatever. Nope. Automatically you get flagged. And the thing is that when you get flagged, your account is not allowed to have people follow you. You can't monetize. You can't do all these different things that you could do normally. So I'm talking to the agent. I go, okay, here it's saying that I can do it in your terms of service. Here I am constantly getting flagged, so I can never grow. For 4 years, I've not gained one single follower because I'm also on a hard algorithm and I'm always collecting data. And I showed it to them. I go, look, I can gain 2,000 followers in a day and the algorithm will automatically kick 2,100. So every time I post, I actually lose followers. So it doesn't behoove me to post anymore. So it's a hard area where it's like, okay, not posting only helps them, because if I post, I lose followers. But if I don't post, then it helps them because now nobody is now more gun content is not being proliferated, which is their goal. They don't want gun content, which again, it falls into the double thing and double speak. Again, it's perfectly fine in the terms of service, but yet there's an option to report a picture for having prohibited goods of firearms and ammunition. So I go, how can there be an option to report? Well, the terms of service says that it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me
Maybe
to tell.
Canada runs all that. I don't know.
No, if any tech support I've ever spoken to is always in India. So I go, I don't understand how these things are content moderation, everything else is always handled by some foreign country.
Right.
So yeah, and they go, and I'm specifically telling the guy, look at all the pictures that I'm sending you. I am flagged. Nope, your account is good. How is it good? I'm looking at my account status. It says that I can't monetize. I have all the red checks, like ding, ding, ding. You can't monetize. You can't grow. You can't be seen by non-followers. Nope, everything's good here. Everything's good. So it's like, okay, so
yeah, you almost have to have an advocate.
And you can't sue them because it's in their own agreement that once you click agree, you can't sue them. You can't do class action. You can't do anything else. I go, okay, so what remedy is there? People think that, there's going to be some remedy with the new administration coming in. There are so many more problems on this plate right now.
Yeah.
That, trust me, that is going to be the least of any problems.
Right. Except for censorship, maybe they might be interested in that.
Yeah. So that's where it falls into censorship because you are just not allowed to grow, which is, I don't know how much more time we have. It's a couple minutes, but I go, it's when it comes into censorship. Okay. You censor all of our content and it's not just me, that's suffering through this. A lot of people in the industry, but it's interesting how it's kind of selective as well. Cause other people in the industry, they're posting the same stuff. Perfectly fine. They're allowed to grow exponentially. So I go, what happened here?
Partnership of some sort, probably.
For me, I know what happened. For me, since I was a nurse, I know what triggered my attack on my account. Since I'm a nurse, I made a post during COVID about just, the numbers. I go, look, these are the numbers, or, even according to CNN, these are the numbers of infections. These are the numbers of deaths. It's a simple division problem. You get your IFR, which is your infection fatality rate. It's 2% or less. So I go, guys, people are scared that it was like 50%. Like if I got it, like 100%, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I go, no, it's like 2%.
There's a huge fear play.
You gotta calm down. Like it's fine. Like you're going to be okay. We knew, comorbidities. We knew about a lot of things. We knew that everybody, most people that were dying, okay, you're obese, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I just made very simple posts like on my story or whatever else saying, hey, these are the numbers. Like it's okay. Like don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
I was just trying to tell people don't be scared.
Be helpful.
Which I think that's a more ethical thing. Keep people calm in any crisis that you're in. It could be the plane going down. It could be keep people calm because fearful people do irrational things, and sometimes those people that you're trying to protect can become a hindrance in irrational positions. So you need to keep people calm. So,
but you're trying to leverage fear. They wanted fear so they can sell vaccines
for a whole bunch of things. So, So once I did that post, Facebook, it was Instagram, it said, you have received a medical misinformation strike. And I go, what? I've never even heard this. I got a medical misinformation strike. The moment that strike happened, my account has been shut off. Like the spigot, doop, you cannot gain it. So 4 years, again, like I said, not a single follower. I lose followers for posting. I can't monetize. I can't do anything else, all because of that one time. Because before that, I was growing. I was raking in the followers. I was doing everything else. But that one post, and my wife said, don't do it. I don't want to admit that she's right. But anyways, she was
they always are.
She's like, don't do it. She's like, because of this, that. I go, the problem is that if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And this is the problem where you're kind of caught in this catch-22. I know, I told her, I go, I know you're right, but I know that the information that I have and everything else is just true. If we don't speak, then that truth never gets out. And we only just help the system by never. So we are
and it didn't do that anyway. They flagged it, right?
Yeah. So we're self-censoring ourselves. We're aiding this.
We're living in fear.
We're aiding this system. We are then again. We're not okay. I'm not living in the fear of COVID, but I'm living in the fear of getting my whole life destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it's taken a massive toll. Just my CPA asked me. It was later on that year when we were filing taxes. She goes, "What the heck happened this year?" And I go, yeah, you want to know what happened? I went into the whole story of the censorship. She goes, yeah. She goes, look, in this amount of months, you've lost $1.7 million. And I go, oh, trust me. I know that I've lost $1.7 million just because of, that's it. The spigot was turned off. You are not allowed to be seen.
Isn't that amazing?
To grow anything else.
Crazy.
Since those 4 years, I'd probably say I've probably lost maybe 10, 12 million.
Good grief.
So just because of you're just not allowed to gain money. So it's like, so it's an interesting thing. And I'm hoping that, hey, some things can hopefully get a little bit better when it comes to censorship, like we were talking about, because it's a wild thing of what they're able to do and what agendas they're able to push. Because, and I'll end it with this: guns are bad, yet all over the platform, pornography is everywhere. If you report it's a pornographic image. It clearly has the woman's breast out and exposed, and she's using it as a sales vector to go to her OnlyFans or whatever it is. You report that. There's an option that says report nudity and pornography. You click that. Okay. Eventually, you get back a thing saying, hey, the account you reported or the photo that you reported was not taken down because it does not violate community guidelines. I go, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So my stuff gets community guideline violated, even though I'm allowed in the terms of service, but yet pornography and nudity doesn't get flagged because, again, they want that stuff to proliferate. They want to infect, the minds of young people. They want to get more people into this pornographic thing, destabilize families. It's a whole massive agenda.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, now guys aren't talking to women because they're fearful, or they all get sucked into these online virtual girlfriends or whatever the heck it is. So it's like, okay, so that's okay. Then it's funny because if you repost that thing saying, hey, it does not violate guidelines, you repost it, you get violated. My friend has reposted that because it's like, hey, dude, this is clearly, we don't want to see this crap. He reposts it, and he then gets reported, and his account gets taken down because he's posting nudity and pornography. And I didn't post the nudity and pornography. I posted your response to it with a tiny picture. So it's just like, hold on. So the original picture in full quality doesn't violate guidelines. Yet me showing you saying that it does not violate guidelines, violates guidelines against nudity and pornography. So it's
a double standard.
It's not even a double standard. There's an agenda, man.
Yeah.
Like it's
100%.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I was getting ready to ask you where it gets fired up, but I know what's firing you up. You're fired up about, just the state of, our digital world and where it's headed and how.
Oh yeah. It's not headed to a good place. Before we started this, we were talking about AI and everything else. Yeah. It's not going to a great place. Like,
no, it's scary. It's scary. Well, anything I forgot to ask you you'd like to share?
No, I think we made it. I think we covered a lot of bases.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been fun to get to know you. It's been fun hopefully our listeners enjoyed it. Check out Coyote Tactical Solutions, get a med kit, have it in your car. It's probably just a really sage advice just to have, be able to protect your family in another way, to take care of them because crazy stuff does happen all the time.
Yeah. You're not going to, in most cases, 99.9% of the cases, you're not going to use your firearm, but you will probably end up using a medical kit more than you will ever use anything else. So,
So that'd be a good Christmas present if it's a little late this year, but maybe next year or birthdays or whatever.
If you order, we can still get it in time. We ship same day. So we're
look at that. So order up. We'll have a link in the show notes to your site.
Perfect.
So hopefully we won't get flagged because of it.
Oh, be careful. You'll be guilty by association.
I probably will. Yeah. It was good talking to you all. This is our last podcast. I'm just kidding. But thank you again for coming in. And until next time, I'm Colin Johnson with the Colin Carly Group. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. If you want to move here, become a neighbor with Jesus and his family, we'd love to help you move to Jonesboro, where I grew up, or Kingsport or Bristol or anywhere in the Tri-Cities. We love our area, and we want to bring as many people here who are just want to have great 4 seasons, love the mountains, love just people. I mean, it's just a great place to live. So thank you so much. And thanks again for listening.